Everyone is panicking about AI taking tech jobs. Is it even worth getting into cybersecurity in 2026? Yes, it is. However, the era of hoodie hackers is over, and the era of human engineering is here. I'm Nelia, an information security engineer, and I don't get paid to write code or crack code. I get paid to handle humans and humans' mistakes. People think that you have to fight hackers every single day, that as a cybersecurity engineer or as an information security engineer, you're going to be doing code all day, every day. And that's just not accurate. Some do, a lot don't. My job is translating risk into business. I don't patch servers. I convince managers why we need to spend money to patch them. So you see, GRC isn't so much paperwork, it's more of a negotiation that happens. In the Marine Corps, technical skills are very important, and discipline and communication is what saves lives. Cyber is the same. A firewall is just a tool. A human has to decide how to use it. Where is it best to use? Is it best to be used at the perimeter? Is it best to be used for your servers? Where is the best place to put a firewall? And it's a tool. You need to build a firewall of humans in order for any tool to actually be able to work in your environment. AI can write code. AI cannot convince a board of directors to care about security. That is where you come in, right? That is what we're talking about here. So I'm going to list 3 skills instead of Python that you should be able to have. Yes, coding is good. Yes, knowing coding is basic and it is important to some levels, but it's not the main goal for someone that is trying to go for a GRC track, right? So the first skill is risk assessment. We're talking about logic. We're talking about how the code makes logic. Can you spot the dangers here? That is what risk assessment is, right? Then where you have the second skills, the stakeholder management. Can you talk to people without making them feel stupid? Can you actually conceptualize what it is that you're trying to do? Can you grab those technical skills that you learn by doing things like building firewalls, etc.? Can you translate that into for the stakeholder? Can you manage up as well as manage down, right? So that's where the stakeholder management comes into play as a skill. Another skill would be identity, IAM. That's like the keys. Understanding who has access is more important than how the firewall works, right? So if you have RBAC, role-based access control, deployed, you need to understand how that works and who has access to what. And of course, depending on where you're going to work, this is going to vary widely, right? If you're working for the government and you have a clearance, there is something called need to know. So if a person doesn't have the need to know, there is no need for them to have access to certain databases. But you need to understand what the database does. You don't need to understand the code that makes the database, but you need to understand the concept of what is that the database actually does. So this is where we're talking here. That's what I'm talking about in this channel. We are talking about these skills that you need to understand in order to be in this field. I am not sitting here talking about Python and coding. I'm telling you that you need to understand if the code is effective. And how are you going to understand that? You don't need to go and learn all of Python. You need to understand how code works, and you need to understand the product of the company that you're working for, right? So those are the 3 skills that you should learn that I feel are way more valuable to learn before you just dive into Python. Again, I am not against coding at all, but there is a time and a place for these skills. If you're not going to be the one building the application, if you're not going to be the engineering actually building the application and understanding everything, doesn't make you a better engineer. Understanding code, 1000%. Yes, it does. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. 1000% it does. Can you automate certain things if you have Python? Yes. But remember what I said at the beginning of this. AI is also here to help, not necessarily just to hinder or to take jobs, right? But is to make us better. If AI is coding better than some engineers, then why would you spend your time and valuable money learning Python? Why don't you take your time and understand what a risk assessment is? And for what company, which risk matter more? Because it's not going to be the same working for the government than working for higher ed or working for corporate. The risk is going to be different at each corporation. Not just that, everybody has a different risk appetite. And these are the things that would be better for you to understand. You know coding? Great. Like I said, AI can code too. So what can AI not do? AI is not human. So we still need these 3 skills that I mentioned to make sure that we are still employable. Because AI is only gonna take the jobs of those that don't use the tool. In my opinion, the tool is like a calculator, right? We have a calculator to do math. It helps us. It doesn't tell me what is the best way for me to save my $1,000, right? The calculator, just you put in what this minus this or plus this is. It doesn't actually do the intelligent work. And though AI is going to be able to do a lot of reasoning, we're still in a place that AI is not a human. So there is no way that AI is going to take a job of someone that is skilled enough to be smarter than the tool and to use the tool to help you get ahead. So with all of those things being said, I would say stop letting the tech bros intimidate you. The technical bar is lowering thanks to AI, but the human bar is raising. If you want to bridge that gap, I invite you to subscribe to this channel because that is what I'm teaching here, or that is what I am sharing, because my experience comes from before AI. But don't be fooled for 1 second. I use AI daily in my life, in my work. I use AI extensively because, again, I'm going to understand the technology and I'm going to understand the risk that this technology has and what are the shortfalls, so that when I have to go for another job or whatever the case is, I understand and I'm up to par with what's going on. I'm going to be able to do my stakeholder management and help them understand how AI can help and where AI falls short. And that's where you come in, right? And again, I'm just bringing back the 3 skills points that I talked about before. And identity, understanding who has access, is more important than how the firewall works, right? You need to understand how the firewall works 1000%. But do you need to understand which firewall rules go before or after? Only if you're in a situation where you need to understand the path of the traffic, most likely. But you understand what I'm saying. Hopefully you're understanding by now what I'm trying to say. These are skills that are not going to be filled by AI. And you having that experience and you learning these skills are going to help you further get into your career and into cybersecurity and make sure you stay in cyber, right? Because the numbers are astronomical of how many cyber jobs are out there, even in this market, because the market today of getting a job is not the easiest one. However, in cyber, people are still getting hired. People are still moving from one company to another. And yes, the stakes are higher. And yes, you have to prove yourself a little more. So if you do those skills that I spoke about and you're not afraid of AI and you embrace it and you use it to make you better, you're only going to be adding value to whatever company you may go to. Now, you combine all of the stuff that I just said with the fact that you're a Marine or a service person, a veteran, and that you're a female, and you have a different perspective. So being a Marine, being a female, you have a different perspective. And that's the important part here. You will have a different perspective than someone else that they might be looking at. So if we're talking about the things that you're bringing to the table, I'm talking AI is going to help you. It's not going to take your job. It's going to help you. I'm talking about your career as a veteran, whatever military service you serve, as a female, as all of the adversities that you have been through, all of those things are just going to aid you and help you into getting and staying in cyber. So I hope that this video helped at least one of you out there. And I want you to tell me which of the 3 skills do you think you have, and the ones that you are more eager to now learn. I'll see you guys on the next one.